The U.S. withdrawal of military forces from Afghanistan has been especially noticed by the men and women who have served there over the past 20 years. They're seeing the culmination of their work reversed with the Taliban takeover of the country. A military vet from St. Joseph adds his thoughts.
The world has watched in horror the events that have played out in Afghanistan since the U.S. pulled its support from the country. Among those has been St. Joseph's David L. Jones, who served for a year in Kabul as part of the NATO strategic team.
The strategy in Afghanistan was deeply flawed from the beginning, and it set conditions for this epic failure.
Jones says seeing some of the video coming from a Taliban-controlled Afghanistan has brought back a lot of memories. He says he wasn't really surprised the country's government fell so suddenly and quickly.
Frankly, it was a house of cards that was held up by the U.S., by the Brits, by the Germans, and once funding and our military presence ended there, the national government was going to fall.
Jones says he's watching closely now the U.S. effort to remove the 11,000 Americans still in Afghanistan.
The Taliban have informed us that they are prepared to provide the safe passage of civilians to the airport, and we intend to hold them to that commitment.
But Jones is just as concerned about the safety of the tens of thousands of Afghans who worked with the U.S. government and American businesses who now could face retribution from the Taliban.
It's a moral imperative for this administration, NATO, the entire West, to do what they can to get the Afghans who supported our mission there out of country.
In the end, Jones says the U.S. can be added to a long list of countries that have tried and failed to keep the peace in Afghanistan.
It's definitely a country that has mired any empire that has came there, and frankly, we should have been better students of history to know that fact.
President Biden and Vice President Harris getting a briefing from their national security team today. Updates on security and how to accelerate evacuations for U.S. citizens and Afghan partners. U.S. also monitoring for any potential terrorist threats in Afghanistan.